Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we are continuing our playthrough of Live Alive, covering the Wild West and Imperial China chapters. But first, before we get to all of that, how was everyone's week?
So, I love Luigi's Mansion.
Same.
But in 2013, the year of Luigi, they released Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, and I played a little bit of it, and I was like, this fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it away and didn't think about it again. Then Luigi's Mansion 3 came out a long time later, and I loved it. So last year, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD came out on the Switch, and I was like, maybe I should give it another shot. So I got it from Gamefly. It fucking sucks.
Oh, man.
Damn.
So it's split up into a bunch of different areas, and it's split up into missions. So you can't really chill and explore and get into a vibe with the environment like you do in the other Luigi's Mansion games. You're just walking along. Professor Egad calls you every 10 seconds to say some insipid bullshit, and just as you're starting to maybe have some fun, you accidentally complete the mission, and Egad calls you and is like, okay, I'm going to teleport you back to the lab now.
Damn.
It sucks. And also, the graphics, it's HD, but it looks like an HD 3DS game, not a not 3DS game.
Damn.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is really good, though.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get around to Luigi's Mansion 3 because I've heard nothing but praise for it.
It's so good. It's by the same development studio that did Dark Moon /2 Next Level Games.
Mm-hmm.
But they did Luigi's Mansion 3 a lot better.
Yeah. They learned from it. Around the year of Luigi and like going before that into like the late DS era, in that time frame, I feel a lot of developers were trying to make mobile versions of their games to be something you could do on a train ride, not realizing that both of those systems have a really, really good sleep mode, and you could just close it and play it more later.
Yeah, so, you don't even have to save, really.
Yeah, you don't need 10-minute bites of everything. The only game that I think turned its core gameplay loop into a 10-minute bite bullshit, and it was okay for it, is Kingdom Hearts 385/2, because it's annoying and tedious and bullshit, and it's about having a summer job, which is a tedious bullshit. And so it gets you in the correct vibe where it's like, let me go do this kind of boring day job so that I can hang out with my friends afterwards and have some sea salt ice cream. And that was a good one. And have not liked almost any of the other versions.
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker for the PSP went with a mission-based structure, and that game rules.
Yeah. I'll have to play Peace Walker. But first I have to play 2, and then 3. And then a lot of them.
I'm looking forward to starting my new job on Monday. Well, maybe not looking forward, but, it's approaching slowly, staring at me. That's what I've been doing since we last recorded. I think the main thing is falling to 2 different hyperfixations at the same time, which are working in tandem to ruin my sleep schedule. I feel fine talking about one of them here. I probably will save the other one for Victory Lap. But it's been a while since I archive binged a webcomic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I was unaware of a webcomic called Rain, which started back in 2010, which is about a trans girl doing her senior year as a girl. I feel like I was very into the webcomic scene back around that time, and it shocks me that I didn't run into this one, but it's really good. I'm like half-ish way through it, I think. Maybe 2/3 more, but it's very good, and it's giving me a lot of emotions, and it made me call. It prompted me to call my mom today to thank her for being so good about me being trans. Because a lot of stuff about both supportive and very unsupportive families and that sort of thing in the comic, and just making me think about how supportive some members of my family have been. And while there are members of my family who would not be supportive, I haven't interacted with them since transitioning. So, that's a thing I'll have to face at some point. But yeah, that's been consuming a lot of my gray matter. What have you been up to, Sam?
So I'm finally, for real, knock on wood, absolutely done moving. I had to move Summer on Monday. And here's a thing that's pissing me off, okay?
Okay.
So I get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. If you were an HR department and you were deciding, because that's payday and everyone gets a certain amount of PTO hours added per paycheck, when do you think that you would load up people's PTO? You would think on payday, right? So on the 15th.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's on the 1st and the 16th. It's one day after payday. And so I had asked for Monday off because I had to move Summer, and I knew I was low on PTO and wouldn't be able to cover it. But I'm like, but today's payday, so obviously I will have eight more, and it won't be a big deal. And my boss agreed and approved it. And then HR was like, yeah, but he didn't have enough that day because it reloads on the 1st and not on the 30th. So he doesn't get paid for Monday. It's a away leave without pay instead. So it's like $230 something of pay that I'm not getting, which is frustrating and annoying. However, the stuff I talked about last week of how I was kick ass at my job so hard that I'm probably getting a promotion. While the promotion's processing, my boss did put in for me to have a discretionary bonus. So I'm going to be getting a bonus, which will cover up the missing money. So it's even in the end, but it's still kind of super bullshit that right now, just 2 days later, or 3 days later, I can't read the clock. Just 3 days later, I have enough PTO to have taken off on Monday, except they don't, they didn't want it. They wanted to dock me $230 because PTO doesn't just update on the same day as everything else.
That's super bullshit. I hate that.
Yeah. But on other news, I talked to my boss this morning, and I am getting a bonus, which is awesome. And then,
yes.
So the stuff that I was working on last week, or before the move that I was working on, I got assigned a lot more similar stuff today, and so I worked on that until I could find some of the bugs that had been reported, and I got them all fixed up. And I think I'm going to really enjoy this promotion I'm probably getting. So excited. Yay. For that. Otherwise, tendinitis in both hands and 2 trick knees. And in addition, we were doing controlled falls of the stuff we were taking to recycling and the dump and stuff down the stairway at my old apartment because it's trash. We didn't want to break our backs carrying it down or whatever. And so my partner was sliding down this IKEA tabletop for me to grab. And the smart thing would have been move the fuck out of the way. It's a crappy ass table. Just let it fall. And the second one would have been stop it with my foot. But my dumbass tried to catch it. And so while my hand is currently in a thumb splint because of the tendinitis, I try to catch this table against the concrete stairs, and swear to God, I almost broke all 4 of my fingers. And it was very, very bad and very stupid. But I'm done. Everything I own is in boxes, and I have to slowly unbox it. But I don't have to move those boxes from locations anymore. So I'm done, and I'm excited. speaking of my partner Ivy, they started listening to the show, but they have the same brainworms that Bernard does. And so even though I'm like, oh, it's mostly evergreen content, you can pick whatever game. In fact, we're starting a game this week. You could just start from the most recent episode. They were like, okay, cool. Episode 0 2019 edition. I'm starting from the very beginning. And so yeah, they'll be at that for a while. They also
there's like multiple years of like the sound quality and stuff is shit. People shouldn't even listen to the early stuff.
No. When we ran into a bug a couple of years ago where by default Libsyn only keeps the past like 300 episodes or something, and most podcasts don't hit that. We hit that very quickly because we were doing like 4 fucking shows at a time for a while, and so old episodes weren't available for a while. Part of me just wanted to leave it, but somebody at the time was in the middle of Legend of Dragoon and their episode disappeared and they couldn't finish it. So I fixed it for them. But like, yeah, I don't think I would listen before Maddie transitioned at the absolute earliest, but probably even after that. I think I would start year 2 at the earliest, start with Lost Odyssey. Anyways, the other thing that they did because they started the podcast is they realized that although they were of the correct age and in the correct parts of the internet, they've never interacted with Homestuck. And the fact that we reference it so many times in episode 0, and we promised to reference it once every episode. And even now that Maddie's gone, we still have managed to reference it almost every episode. They want to start Homestuck. So, yeah.
How dare you spread this infection?
2 absolutely horrible time sync ideas is just listening to 700 years or I meant to say episodes, but it's basically 700 years of the podcast, or starting Homestuck. So
at least one of those is good.
Yeah, it's depending on who you ask, it's a toss up of which one. But yeah, I also got to play more Live Alive this week in surround sound, and it's really cool. I'm still not used to noises coming from behind me, so every time that for some reason your footsteps are in the surround and not like at the TV, and so as I'm like walking over carpet or something, the footsteps now sound like someone walking in the carpet behind me, and I turn around to see if someone's coming in my home.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love Live Alive. Can we talk about Live Alive, guys?
Please.
Okay?
Yes. I'm going to make a note about surround sound to bring this up later, though, because you've awakened something. But for now, we'll talk about Live Alive after some music.
All right.
Speaking of music, it turns out that the new Mario and Luigi game, Brothership, does not have music by Yoko Shimomura. It has music by Hideki Sakamoto, and I was like, who is that? So I clicked on their Wikipedia page to see if he'd done anything I like, and he did the extremely terrible main theme of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so Lifelight.
Well,
colors do weave into a spiral flame, though.
Well, it is my turn to do the notes. So, we begin this week with the Wild West chapter, following The Wanderer, which begins in a small town surrounded by a dusty desert and towering mesas. The bartender gets a new wanted poster and makes a comment comparing it to some of the Rough Riders who've been going through their town before. As the poster goes up, a patron examines it, and we get a chance to name our outlaw protagonist, and the default is Sundown, or rather, the Sundown Kid.
He's not a kid.
I was gonna say, he's very clearly not a kid. Not a lot is physically clear about our cowboy here, but the lack of being a kid is pretty there.
They do comment on it, and also in the remake is voice does not sound
yeah.
very young.
Mm-hmm. Sundown is riding between towns on his horse when suddenly his way is blocked by another rider, Mad Dog. This bounty hunter has been on his trail for some time. They've dueled again and again, building up a sense of rapport, a bond that Mad Dog compares to that between lovers. But enough of that. It's time to fight once and for all. So then, you shoot your boyfriend. He's kind of a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does our hero win the fight, he then fires close enough to Mad Dog's horse to send it running away, leaving the bounty hunter stranded as we ride off.
Rude.
So rude. Before too long, we arrive in a town, the one from the opening. Success, a town named after their brief boom during the gold rush. Now just a small way stop beset by local bandits. When Sundown goes to the saloon to relax, things go quiet, up until one of said notorious outlaws enters the bar and starts throwing his weight around. A woman named Annie comes in from her room upstairs, and it's clear this bandit, named Pike, is very interested in having her as his girl, and her consent does not seem to matter to him very much. Annie absolutely roasts every single man in the bar because they're just watching this and not helping at all. But then the sheriff's son, Billy, steps in, trying to intervene, but all he ends up really managing to do is be thrown across the bar into Sundown, knocking him from one stool into a different stool. To apologize, sort of, Pike buys Sundown a glass of milk, but it's mostly just to make fun of him. But when Sundown gives him some lip in response, it turns into a fight, one that our hero has no issues winning, and sending Pike running away. This gets the attention of everyone in the bar, especially because Pike was a member of O.Dio's gang, the Crazy Bunch. Before they can applaud the heroics of our protagonist too much, Mad Dog enters the scene, kicking his feet up on a table and telling everyone that their supposed savior is an outlaw himself. One that Mad Dog has come to take in, dead or alive. Everyone heads out to watch the duel happening in the middle of the street. It's the classic Western thing. They do the backs to each other, they count to 5. But when that happens, neither of them shoot each other, but instead turn and shoot hidden members of the Crazy Bunch, who are ready to interrupt the duel. With that, the town has been solidly brought into the conflict, and once everyone gets emboldened by Annie's fiery bravado, that means it is time to team up and save this town. Since there's no doubt at this point the Crazy Bunch is going to come in riding, and that O.Dio is going to be out for blood. When the sheriff, already considered a coward by the town, is slow to help himself, his son steals the badge off his chest and gives it to you. Don't forget to equip it, like I did the second time around. It's a very useful accessory.
Oh, I didn't equip it because it didn't feel right. Also, I'm not a cop.
That's fair. I think it gives you like a dodge bonus, which, especially against that final boss, dodge is a useful stat.
Yeah.
You have until morning, 8 rings of the bell, to prepare. During that time, you can head out and search the town for different healing items, equipment, and stuff you can use for traps, and then use the remaining time by assigning different members of the town to take those trap items and use them to set up ambushes for when the bad guys get here. Every trap means that's one less fight that you're going to have to do before the boss, but be careful, the townspeople all get stuff done at different speeds, and some of them are the only ones who are able to use specific items. Once you do all of that, you get one scene before the assault. Do you remember in the ninja chapter there was that thief and his son? We commented on it last week. Well,
Yes.
Different incarnation of them are here now, crawling through the desert, desperate for refreshment, dying of thirst, happy that they finally found a town, but before they can be helped, the father is shot dead by the approaching Crazy Bunch, and the son is left to pull his father's body out of the way and cry.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is a weird... It turns out this is a recurring thing, and it's weird.
It's very weird.
That's so funny.
It recurs in the other chapter we played this week, and it's actually funny there. That one is actually funny, if you ask me.
I don't think
I didn't find it. I didn't find it.
I didn't find it.
Oh, it was just there on the critical path. I'll mention it when we get there.
Okay.
Because I think maybe y'all saw it and just didn't recognize it, because it is a rather different variation.
Okay. Anyway, the Crazy Bunch are here, riding into town, and if you set up your traps right, they all get demolished, leaving only their leader to actually attack the saloon, where Sundown and Mad Dog head out to fight him. Before we fight, the man admires us for the way that we have inflicted so much violence on his men, as evidently he's someone who basically worships bloodshed. But that means it's now his turn to inflict it on us. And he means it. He has a Gatling gun.
And even before we start the fight, he is very large.
He's very large, and he gets bigger.
He is mean.
He's very mean. I don't think he's as big as the final boss in the fighting game chapter, but he's close. He's very huge.
And he hits hard.
Yeah. There are some rocks you can hide behind, and generally, as long as you stay away from being directly adjacent to him or diagonal to him, you can avoid his worst attacks to take him down.
I absolutely love this fight. I went bonkers on it on the JRPG canon, and so I'm not going to go crazy in depth with it. But because the sprite takes up a whole bunch of squares, all of those squares are its hitbox. So you can stand where he is still diagonal from you, and you won't be diagonal from him because it aims from the center of his squares. So you can just keep rotating around basically and never be in his way. And it's very cool and very feels like I'm doing a JRPG with a gun in a way that no other gun in any JRPG has ever felt good.
Agreed. It's very cool. I really enjoyed the design of it. Now, the weird thing is, once you do defeat him, he turns into a purple horse and then gallops away.
He turns into Twilight Sparkle.
The sheriff explains that there's this legend about how while Custer's army that fought against the Sioux and the Cheyenne people was massacred completely, one horse escaped, and the animal absorbed all of the hate and the, I guess, racism of all the people who died there that day. And that was Odio. Okay.
The racist horse is my least favorite Stephen King villain.
Anyway, yay, we won, but things are not over yet. Because now that we saved the day, Mad Dog's ready to finish what we had started earlier with that duel. Now, fun fact, I didn't know this till my second playthrough, but you can flee from this fight. And honestly, you should. Because if you beat Mad Dog, you kill him. For real. But if you run away, he's just like, alright, I guess we'll just call it a day and we'll continue our Lupin Zenigata style relationship later. However their confrontation ends, we move from there to the sundown kids' goodbye to the town, where everyone is so sad to see their hero leave. The sheriff thanks him for stepping up when his courage failed him, even telling him to keep the sheriff's star, but here our outlaw finally speaks up, saying that he's grateful to them because it's been a while since he had a chance to really do some good. As he rides off, our sheriff, ever the fountain of exposition, remembers a story he heard once about a lawman who was so good with his gun that he drew trouble to wherever he went, and more people kept trying to come take him down until he finally felt like he had no choice but to put a huge bounty on his own head and ride off into the sunset. So, I guess our protagonist is Vash the Stampede, kinda.
It's weird how the sheriff is just like, oh, yeah, I just remembered this, and it's probably that guy.
Yeah, no, it's especially funny because this is like the third time he's come in with a big exposition dump.
Yeah, the story structure of this chapter is a little weird.
It's a little weird. I don't dislike it, but it's very weird. And if you spared our Vash's personal Wolfwood, Mad Dog shows up again before the chapter truly ends, coming in with his new horse, Odio! He's riding him now.
Oh my god.
You fight him again, and while he is tougher than he has been before, it's not too hard to beat him. And once again, Sundown finishes the fight by firing off in a way that scares Odio and leaves Mad Dog alive to just be horseless in the desert again. And that's the Wild West chapter!
That ending is so good.
It's so good!
I'll talk about it more in memorable moments, but I fucking love Mad Dog.
Me too! He's so good! The second chapter we're covering today is the Imperial China chapter, also called The Successor. Our protagonist this time has less of a name and more a title. He is the elderly Shifu of a school of martial arts, one that we get to name, and the default is Earth and Heart. So he is the Earth and Heart Shifu. As the story begins, he trains on a mountaintop, striking a boulder, but nothing seems to happen. Apparently this is the sign that he needed, the proof that he's nearing his end, and if his art is going to survive, he'll have to find someone else to carry it on. Which means it's time to find disciples. Specifically, 3 of them.
And it's going to be surprisingly easy to find some disciples.
Yeah, it really feels like he could have done this at any time. The first he finds is in a bamboo forest that's full of tigers, as well as some medicinal herbs that we're going to need for another branch of this story in a hot minute. As we move through the bamboo shoots, we see a figure is darting around, following us, only to block our path and demand we hand over our money. If we refuse, we must fight this cocky bandit, a young woman named Lei Kugo. She's fast, but she doesn't really stand a chance against the Shifu. And when he offers her training and gives it a moment to consider, she agrees. That's one down. The second is found in a nearby market, where he has been running amok, eating stuff without paying for it. The young man is great at dodging out of the way of those who try to stop his spree, but when he gets cornered, our Shifu's brought in. After kicking his ass a little, he explains that his name is Hong Haka, and that he was doing this because he has no job, no skills, and no education, so he has no money, and he's hungry anyway. So
Nude.
he's also clearly internalized a lot of fat phobia because he is a bigger guy. Shifu tells him not to be ashamed of his body, that he's clearly fast and he should cherish himself, and offers to teach him how to use his body to do some good. That's 2! The third is found in another town, one where many of the elderly have gotten sick, and some very buff jerks have been throwing their weight around. As you use the aforementioned herbs that you found in the bamboo forest to help out all the sick people, this young guy sneaks by when you're trying to help his grandmother and steals from you. She explains that his parents are gone, that she's been raising him, and that hasn't been going great. He's been bullied by those aforementioned buff jerks into thievery, but he's had enough, and he tries to stand up to them. Our protagonist steps in, beats the guys up, and then doesn't offer him training. Instead, the young man, Yunjo, begs for it himself, wanting to become stronger, and our hero isn't totally sure about that. After all, is he just going to use that newfound strength for revenge? But when Yun keeps bothering him, and the Shifu decides to give him a shot, all because of that strength of courage he saw when he stood up to all those guys. That's 3 disciples, which means it is time to take them to our new home and start training.
So it seems all you need. It seems that the requirement to become a disciple of the Earth and Heart Shifu is to be a thief.
Mm-hmm.
They all 3 are in different ways thieves. You're correct. The way the training works is that there's 3 stages of it. Each one focuses on a different stat, and in each one you'll have 4 battles because the old man only has so much energy. You can spread them out as much as you want among the 3 disciples, or you can pile them onto a specific character if that is your preference. That's kind of the optimal way to do it.
I knew that was the optimal way to do it, but I still spread them out a little bit because I felt bad.
Me too. I felt so guilty because the first time I was like, okay, there's 4 and I have 3 people, so one person's going to get extra. I'm going to make sure that the disciple I'm choosing gets the extra. But then I noticed after I did one with Lei that you get a crap load of bonuses like outside of leveling up. I was like, oh, I need to pour them all on my main guy. And so then the next set of them, I'm like, okay, well, I have to give one to the third guy or he won't get any training. Like, that's not nice. Yeah, I have to at least do one unoptimal battle with him. So I had to make it at least a little fair.
Yeah, so there are 3 disciples, and there's 3 of us, and the story will change depending on which one you favor. So we were like, oh, we should each choose a different disciple. But I have a feeling we all wanted the same one, but Trish got first choice because Trish is doing the notes.
I actually love the one that I ended up with. So I'm.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good. I think they're all 3 really good characters, and I think the arcs that they each have seem very interesting. And I think that
like, while I do have a clear favorite, obviously I'm going with Lei. Not just because I'm doing the notes, but excuse me, I'm the girl co-host. This is the only girl protagonist in the game.
I know, it's kind of ridiculous. There's so many protagonists in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the only girl playable party member, though. I think
That's true.
I think the
That's
girl
true.
is playable in Prehistory. And
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few fights where the cave woman gets to do stuff.
Yeah.
At least. So there's at least that.
Yes, there's at least one more.
My first time on going through this on the Super Nintendo, when I didn't know what was happening and had no spoilers going into this chapter, I did spread across them. Like, I made sure I trained everyone at least once in each of these 3 areas, and just did my gave a second extra helping to Lei. Doing it again on the remake, I was like, yeah, no, I'm just giving Lei everything. I'm gonna only train her, and I think she came off quite better for it. But yes, it was a little mean of me.
Yeah.
But yes, so you train your students here by fighting them, and every time you beat them, they get experience, level up, and learn your moves. It's such a cool mechanic. I love it.
Yeah, you start out level 10, which is a really high level in this game, and you have a bunch of badass moves, and you don't get experience or anything because you already know everything. You're already good at fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I love how this is structured.
Same. This might be my favorite chapter so far. From there, we get a cutscene establishing that time is passing as all their training continues, and eventually, the Shifu begins to feel as though he doesn't have that much left to teach them. But that is when the plot strikes. The restaurant owner who'd been chasing Hong before comes around to the Shifu's house, talking about thugs who've come to terrorize his city. The students are quick to volunteer their help, but their master doesn't think that's a good idea, talking about how violence can beget violence, how they have to train their hearts as much as they do their minds and their bodies. No, he goes to this alone. So you head over there, and it's the same jerks from Yoon's story, except now they're trained and backed up by some group called the Indomitable Fist. That new training does not mean they have any chance against our old master, but it does provide an opportunity for their more dastardly group to attack the Shifu's house while he's gone. When he returns, he finds only one student is left alive. Which one? Whichever one you favored the most.
It's like, oh shit, now I really feel bad. There's not a way to save the other two, but
mm-hmm. When I went through this again, like blind the first time, I was like, what the hell? Like, I did not, like, we'd mentioned, there's, like, favoring one of the characters, and I was like, oh, okay, sure. I didn't think the other two died!
Yeah.
Together, Shifu and the last living student bury the dead on top of the mountain, and this is also when the Shifu decides to pass along one last lesson to whoever students left. The most powerful and secret ability of their art, but one that takes so much of oneself to use that Shifu doesn't think he could manage it more than one more time. By perfectly controlling one's body, breathing, movements, everything, you can use the Heavenly Peaks Descent, which lets you move, like, really fast and stuff. It's cool.
It's cool as shit.
It's very Dragon Ball Z. After that, our old master prays at each gravestone, mourning the lost opportunity that each presented, thinking about what made them so unique and special. It's really sad, and I'm really curious what he thinks about with Lei's grave, but I haven't looked to see. But the ones on the other two is really sad and really good. Once that is done, the Shifu goes to strike back against the Indomitable Fist by himself, but along the way his remaining student catches up to him to join in on this retaliatory strike. Apparently, each student comes back at a different time from what I saw. Lei came back to me in the bamboo forest where you first meet her. What about you two?
So, yeah, I didn't know that, but Hong definitely came back later. He actually, if I recall correctly, sort of, while I was in the fortress, he burst through the wall like Kool-Aid Man and was like, I know you said to stay behind, but I've got to help you avenge Lei and Yun.
Yeah, mine.
It was good. I loved it.
Yun shows up. His name is Yun in the subtitles, YUN, but all the voice acting puts a second syllable in there, which maybe
I think
a
I
Chinese
think it's a
pronunciation.
Chinese. I think it's a Chinese pronunciation thing. Like that is the correct romanization. It just it's not the same vowel sound. I don't think.
Yeah,
Romanizing Eastern languages is hard.
absolutely.
Chinese especially.
It never quite works.
Yeah. So Ewan showed up in the room with like 9 million dudes that all attack you at once.
Yeah.
Jumped in there and took them out one by one. As like a look, I promise that I'm strong enough and I can take them out. And so then then that fight, I only had 3 of them, I think, when it was actually time to fight, which was really cool.
Very cool. When you get to the Temple of the Indomitable Fist, it becomes a fight after fight. Just there's so many dudes, and
So
during
many
that,
dudes.
you show them why they should really change their name to the Dominable Fist. Even their white tigers do not really help. Eventually, you make your way to the throne room of their evil leader, Odi-Wan Li. He has a whole banquet table full of elite warriors, and to get to him, you have to fight all of them. Holy guacamole, there are so many fights in a row, and they're all reasonably tough, and I'm really glad you heal between these fights.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
These are all feel like boss encounters. And it's just a wild boss rush. It's so good.
Yeah. Did you notice something in this boss rush? Because this boss rush happens after a nondescript little cutscene. It's just a dialogue box, basically. So I don't think you noticed it. But the Shifu mentions that like he's exhausted. Like after like when he showed him the thing, he's like, I think I only can do this one more time. And he showed him when he did it. He then has some like throwaway line that he's getting exhausted, and he starts doing less and less damage, and your disciple starts doing more and more damage. And so when you like the whole time up here, it'd be like, all right, put the Shifu over there to do the AoE and get like 5 of them down at once, and then I'll clean up with Ewan. But by the end, it's like, okay, the Shifu's doing 20 damage. Where did all of this go? But then Ewan would show up and be doing still like 150 damage. And so the disciple literally had become the master mechanically.
That's so cool. I didn't notice that happening. I honestly, with the boss rush, just thought that the bosses had really high defense.
They do, but that's
so
cool.
I didn't notice that. I think I also thought the same thing, probably because the disciple I chose is the heavy hitter, so it was like, okay, now that I've trained him a bunch, of course he's going to be doing more damage than me, but that makes a lot of sense.
I think that's a very neat detail. Thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, once you take out all the different bosses, you advance on OD, only for him to surprise you. He had 2 even stronger guys who were hiding nearby. They're his personal assassins, and he keeps them close at all times so they can possibly kill him if he lets his guard down for even a second. What is wrong with this man?
I love it.
Not to be too snarky, but the snarky answer is he's possessed by whatever red mist makes people into Odios. That's what's wrong with this man.
True.
He's
Anyway,
possessed by a horse.
Yes, he's possessed by a racist horse. Anyway, the Shifu decides to handle the assassins himself, while his student jumps on the table and challenges Odi-Wan Li to a one-on-one fight. It's awesome. Pro tip, stay close to him. Because unless you are on his ass at all times, he can use his strongest move, and it fucking sucks to get hit with that. But you have your own super move now, and in my case, it took out half of his health or so.
Yeah, I think you can only do it once in the battle.
Yeah, it's a one move. It's a one-use move.
Yeah, but it's good.
Mm-hmm. Once you defeat the evil martial artist, you not only kick his ass, you kick it so hard he's sent flying, smashing through his own throne and past it, knocking into a giant gong.
Hell yeah.
He does not, however, turn into a horse. And sadly, this is when we hit a low note as our victorious student approaches their master and finds that Shifu, while having defeated the assassins, is now on death's door. He's done all that he had to do, and now the art will be passed down to a new generation. And from there, we get our ending where our chosen student takes on the role of the new master of this art, and after burying their Shifu, they break the boulder from the very beginning of the game. End of chapter!
And on the chapter select screen now, instead of the Shifu, we now have the disciple as the main character listed of that story.
It's so good.
I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, it rules.
But yeah, let's talk about this chapter more when we get to memorable moments.
Hell yeah.
Even apart from the fact that he's gay as hell, I love Mad Dog.
Mad Dog is so fucking like when I played the Aeon Genesis translation of the Super Nintendo one, I was like, wow, this is really gay. I wonder how they're gonna handle this. And then the remake made it even gayer. The old version didn't have the Shakespeare quote.
In the final duel after the credits, he says, "It's like something out of a Greek myth, don't you think? This bond, this never-ending story of ours."
I know, which is like referencing Greek myth is only making it gayer, my dude.
There's not much gayer than that.
Yeah, they truly do just feel like if you could somehow mash together the Vash the Stampede Nicholas D. Wolfwood thing from Trigun with Lupin and Zenigata, and that's perfect. It's great yaoi.
And I love his voice performance in the remake.
His voice performance is so great, and like his design is incredible.
And I love that for this chapter, it's not the protagonist that reads all of the UI text. It's Mad Dog, and Mad Dog gets to be like, I see you grabbed a cowboy hat or whatever it is, and it's it's like he's literally finishing your sentence for you. It's so fucking gay.
And probably my favorite line this week is right when you're about to start the section where you go around the town to find supplies, which is timed in real time.
Yes.
So you really need to save before that, because if you fuck up, you're going to want to try again. And also, if you fuck up real bad, you might not be able to beat the crazy bunch because it's hard. So right when that section starts, the first thing that happens is Mad Dog says, "Remember this moment. Save the memory if you take my meaning, case it all goes sideways."
Yeah, it's so good.
I love it. I love it.
I will say, I have a couple interesting things to bring up in differences between the versions besides just dialogue. It really felt like they turned up the difficulty of ODO here a lot. Because on the Super Nintendo version, I'm going to tell you, he didn't one-hit KO you.
Interesting that the new version is harder. Wasn't there the opposite last week in the Edo Japan chapter?
There was, and there's also difficulty changing, feels like, with the Kung Fu chapter, because the problem with having two different names for every special move in each version is I don't memorize any of them. But the AoE attack that the old master has, that also has a chance to make it so either they can't hit you or they can't or they can't move. The best move. It's way stronger in the Super Nintendo version. Like,
oh wow, it's stupid strong already. So if it's even stronger, that's ridiculous.
It seriously, I think, like, I would say it would, in terms of just damage, it did, I want to say 60% more damage or so consistently. And it was an interesting thing also in that one. This still might be the case, but the move descriptions in the Super Nintendo version, with each move listed, like each move is tied to a specific stat that it is based off of, both for attacking and also when the other character is defending against it. And the AoE is based off, in that one it's your IQ. I'm guessing in the new one it's your special attack. But either way, it was a stat that most enemies didn't have very good of. And so everyone was weak to it, basically. And the new version, it's still really good. It's just no longer the solve everything button. In general, I think I really liked, like you said, the way the gun stuff is realized in the Wild West chapter is really great in terms of how the fighting system works. But I feel like even more in the Kung Fu chapter, the way it handles all these different techniques is so great, because none of them are just a generic attack. They all have very specific utility. They all have special effects, and they all a lot of them play around with positioning, either in what specific tiles they hit, or in one of them hitting your opponent away from you, one of them making it so you retreat after you use it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes, and not only when you defeat your students during training, they get experience, and they get a stat bonus based on where you're training, but also they can gain your moves that you did against them, like Masaru did in the first chapter we covered. I love it. And also they have their own set of moves that they start with. So by the end, once they have your moves and they've leveled up, it does feel like, oh, they are surpassing me. It's so cool.
It's
even
so cool.
Even better than that, if you get them to level 10, they have their own signature move.
Yes, they get their own signature move.
I was so
It's
proud
so
of this
cool.
pixel boy on my screen for having his own signature move. He had grown so much.
I kind of wish the chapter were longer because it's so good, and I feel like this could have carried a much longer experience.
Agreed, but also the leaving you wanting thing is, I think, very important. I was playing this game on stream with several of my partners, and I was talking about like what I think really makes this game in general work as well as it does is that it is each of these scenarios that, like, they fixed a scope. They're like, hey, we're doing this. This is the plan. We're not going to try to do a full-length JRPG with this idea. We have this idea here. It'll be as long as this idea needs to be and no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're able to tighten each of these things into these masterpieces that, like, if any of these chapters was a full 8 to 12 hour Super Nintendo JRPG, it would still be good. It would still be a very good game. But I don't think it would be as good as the vignettes are.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so good.
Music too. The music in both of these sections, but especially the Kung Fu section.
God, Shimomura is good, it turns out.
It turns out. Also, I really liked when we brought the everyone has their own signature moves. Lei has one of her starting moves before she, like, starts picking up the master's ones. She has one of her starting ones is so impractical. I love it because it is a move that it's really strong, but it takes a while to load. And its hit square is only exactly 3 squares diagonal from her. In any direction. So it's like, it's so specific, and you have to position perfectly for it. But if it hits, it's really strong. And it's just, the idea of her doing this stupid specific move is just funny to me.
I really enjoyed Lei. I thought she sort of seemed like she would probably have the best arc if I had let her live, because she starts out agreeing to be the Shifu's disciple because she's just like so pissed off that he kicked her ass, and she's like, okay, I'll learn from you so that I can kick your ass later. And I feel like it was probably a really good arc of her, like, deciding to actually take on his role and everything. Although I do love Hong. I love him so much.
I love him too! I love all 3 of these disciples a lot. I will say, another thing the remake did better on is there's a lot less fat phobia with Hong than in the Super Nintendo version. I still feel like some of, like, they do a little bit too much of the, oh, he's so hungry jokes. But, otherwise, the like, focus not on that, but on his struggles with actually finding any employment and his internalized fat phobia and how he's taken all these attitudes from other people and applied them to himself is really good.
Yeah, it was really strange how there's the running gag of he is hungry and wants food so bad, which I feel it.
Yeah.
But so that felt like generic sort of fat phobic, tired shtick. But then at the same time, yeah, we have the, I would say, rather beautiful scene where the Shifu tells him, oh, I have the line here.
That he's
Do
like
not
perfect as
do
he
not
is.
bemoan your body. It is a gift, and to accept his body and learn to work with it, not against it, and everything. And it's really good. It's good shit.
Yeah. I feel like, especially with stuff from this time period, you have to really grade on a scale with fat phobia. And I feel like on that scale, this is like at least an A-. This is really good.
Yeah.
I really love Hong. I wanted to ask about Hong and Yun about in comparison to Lei, where like I feel like they definitely have each very different arcs of how they become the master and what the focus is there. Because with Lei, her ending is very much about how she is trying her best to fill his shoes, but she feels sort of unqualified because she still doesn't feel like she has that kindness, and she wants to be as kind as he was, but she hasn't like been able to internalize that sort of attitude. But she hopes one day she can be just as much of a sappy bleeding heart as he was. And like I think that's a really fun, interesting arc, especially for the girl of the group.
If I recall correctly, for Hong, it was more like him having the courage and the strength of will.
That makes
Because
sense.
like I don't know how it goes for the other characters, but when you find him after the attack, he wasn't like overpowered. He was scared and hid, and he feels real bad about that.
That's interesting because Lei got her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. A second ago, Bernard, you said, I feel like Lei would have the best one. Because for me, everything about it seemed exactly tailored to Ewan being the canon disciple.
100%.
That makes sense. I would say,
agree.
Yeah, he seems like the canon disciple.
Yeah, because there's that scene in one of the nights where Shifu walks out, and Lei and Hong are asleep on the floor, and then outside Yun is training. I thought that that one was going to be changed and it's your disciple training, but no, it's Yun in each one. So he also starts at level 1. Everyone else starts at level 3, which is very cool. And so you have to train him harder to get him to level 10, which is so awesome. And it just everything about his arc was so delightful, and I loved it.
I love all 3 character stories. I kind of want to go back and replay the other 2s because I want to see their stories. I want to see how it goes. And I honestly do agree with you, Sam. I think because of starting out the lower level, him having this, he is brave of heart but weak of body. He feels like the obvious choice. He is meant to be the next master. He is like, in a typical narrative, he's where the story goes. Meanwhile, Lei feels much more like the fan favorite, less the canon one. And that's honestly kind of why I really enjoy where her ending goes, because it feels like she's aware that she's not the right choice. She doesn't feel like she was supposed to be in this position, and she is left being like trying to assume a mantle that doesn't feel right on her shoulders. And I think that's so interesting.
So I looked it up, and so the recurring character is Watanabe, although it's a variation of that in each chapter. So I looked it up, and the Watanabe appearance in Imperial China actually only happens if you choose Hong as your disciple. So y'all didn't see it. But if you choose Hong as your disciple, when you get to the fortress, there is a young man named Wantan Bei, who is like, I'm gonna avenge my father who you killed, and I have this secret technique, and he starts like going Super Saiyan and charging up his Kamehameha and everything, but then it just like explodes in his face and he runs away.
This recurring joke is so ridiculous. I love it.
And I was like,
it's so weird black comedy.
And I was like, is it Is this in the present day chapter? And it says, the elder Watanabe is attacked off screen after heckling and throwing a soda can at the great Aja, who returns the favor by mauling him. The son pleads for the luchador to stop, to little avail. To trigger this encounter, the great Aja must use his bite attack against Masaru while Masaru is standing up and to the left of him. So I guess none of us were in that weird specific position to trigger that scene in the present day chapter.
Wow.
But yeah, if I recall correctly, in the Wild West chapter, the character's name is Watt.
His name's Watt. Well, the son is named Watt.
Yes, and and the Imperial China chapter, he's Watanabe, not Watanabe, Watanabe, which is
I think in the Super Nintendo version, they called him Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also, honestly, it feels a little bit more Wild Westy, but
Yeah, but this
these
game
chapters
continues
are so
to rule.
It's so good. I also want to say, because I am me, and I'm the kind of person who pokes about this thing. Lei is extremely popular. One of the most popular protagonists in the game that's possible. And specifically, I was curious and did see that there's not a lot of Live Alive fan fiction. Maybe that'll change now that the remake's out. But considering there's only a couple hundred fics, the fact there are 2 different Lei Fem/fics does make me very happy. And both of them ship her with a character who we're not going to see until the penultimate episode of our coverage. So I'll be looking forward to that.
This game rules.
It's good. And I'm so looking forward to next week, because next week we're covering the 2 most out there what the hell parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have played the prehistory chapter, and it's so good. It's so weird.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
It's fantastic. I'm very, very excited to play Prehistory and the Distant Future, the year 2000.
Is that when it takes place?
No,
that would be the near future, if anything.
That was a Flight of the Conchords reference.
That was a Flight of the Conchords reference.
Yes.
The humans are dead.
So next year we are doing prehistory. Next year, God, I'm confused. Next episode, which might be next year, we don't know how things are going to shake out. If this were BNK, I would just stand by that.
Yeah.
So next episode, we're going to cover prehistory and the distant future. And then the episode after that, we'll do the near future, because that's apparently the longest of these 7 chapters. And then after that, the game's over, and then nothing else is going to suddenly unlock and be...
You forgot the Middle Ages. We'll have another episode on the Middle Ages.
And
then
that's the one that unlocks!
Is it?
Yeah!
Yes, you unlock the Middle Ages, then you unlock the finale.
I didn't realize you unlocked the Middle Ages.
There's only 7 chapters available at the start.
Yeah, I just hadn't counted and looked to see what the other ones were, because I was just going. And so I knew it existed because we worked out through how many we were playing. And I didn't realize that it unlocked. That's very funny.
Yeah, and I think that's really fun because if you're going, when it comes to fantasy JRPGs, most of them are set in some version of the medieval era, some fantasy pastiche of it. And so the fact that is the one that they save until you've done all these other more off the wall things, it's very cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, and I just didn't even notice. Real quick, I just remembered in the remake for the Wild West chapter, it is the reason why HD 2D should exist and how and why it should be implemented. And they move the camera to give you Wild West establishing shots as you come into town. It's the best. It's the best in the world.
The cinematography in the Wild West chapter is so incredible.
Also, I enjoy how, each chapter does different things stylistically. One thing Twilight of Edo Japan did is it had a silent protagonist, because there isn't any dialogue other than from the protagonist, except for when you make a dialogue choice. So it's like Persona 3 in that regard. And Wild West is almost that, but it's not actually a silent protagonist choice. It's just that's this dude's personality. He just doesn't talk very much.
Yep.
But he
Except at the end
does
when
have a few. He does have a few times when he talks, and yes, he does talk at the end. But I just thought that was funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of the Wild West and the dialogue, I want to bring up one thing for the Super Nintendo that I slightly miss, but it's hard to miss it compared to all the great Annie dialogue that was in the remake, that was in the Super Nintendo. But when Annie first shows up, that guy Pike, who's into her, he says something like, "Annie, you're looking hotter than a whorehouse on nickel night," which I was like, "What the fuck is that line?" But in the remake, I adored Annie's voice actress was just really good, and the way she just ripped into everyone and was just flat out just like, "Wow, you all think you've run the world just because you got this shit between your legs, but you don't have the balls to stand up for me. What is wrong with you?"
I really like the voice acting in this game in general. A lot of it is like a little cheesy and a little I don't know, but I really like it. I think it all fits.
Yeah.
The only bit of voice acting I don't enjoy is the kung fu noises that Ewan makes are a lot, and not in a good way. They're very much on the playground. I just watched a Jackie Chan movie, and now I'm going to make kung fu noises, that high-pitched hi-ya squeak that we all did, and it's not good. I don't like it at all.
Isn't that more a Bruce Lee thing? I'm not very familiar with these movies.
Yeah, I think it comes from Bruce Lee. I just was saying, harkening back to in the 90s when I was on the playground, it was a Jackie Chan movie that got me there.
Of course, yeah. That's more of a thing you watch as a child in the 90s. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say about the Wild West chapter. Oh, I like the mariachis. I like how there's 3 of them, and when you send one to go out and set up a trap, his instrument drops out of the music.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Always
really
fun.
good. Also, their dialogue is in parentheses, so you can translated, so you can read it in English. But when they speak, it's in Spanish, and that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I also love the horse thing. I was very confused by it when it happened in the JRPG canon, so I looked it up. And the myth that he's talking about of Custer's Last Stand, like that's an actual thing. Is that they only knew it happened because of the one Union horse came back, and so the fact that it's again in a much more obscure version than with the Edo Japan chapter, them like tying this into actual history and not just made up back in time history is very cool.
I did not know that was an actual like myth idea thing.
Yeah,
that is cool. I like when historical fiction draws on history.
Yeah.
Agreed. Especially in a game like this, when it is such a strange, weird, fun thing to do.
And next week, we're not going to get any of that because one of them is about cavemen who hunt dinosaurs, and the other takes place in the future.
Yeah, it's about to be completely made up. I love this game. I'm so glad that I drug my feet getting back around to it after the JRPG canon episode, so that we could play it here on the podcast, and it's so good. I'm very excited to see where this goes. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations help us offset the cost of running the show. If you decide to donate $1 or more a month, you'll become one of our gadabouts, who also get access to our bonus feed, filled with after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show, such as the JRPG canon, where Live Alive first appeared. If you want to class change into a warrior, you can up your monthly donation to $5 or more each month, and I'll also read your name at the end of each episode, a little like this. Shoutouts to Dragonslayer19, Freddie Rodriguez, Aaron524, and Jfro Prime. And then if the blood of Erdrick flows through your veins and you want to be a luminary, you can donate $20 or more a month and get a short 1-sentence shout-out or advert for me to read at the end of every episode. So shout-outs to El Tantivy, who wants you to check out aftermath.site, a worker-owned reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shouts to Kildronis, who says to check out Podcasters Assemble, a documentary-style, crowdsourced movie hype and rewatch podcast. Every season, podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. And then shouts to VMK, who says, "You ordered a shuttle through deception," bubbled the Marshal of Deirdre, whose main claim to fame was that he was more decrepit alive than some of the legitimately dead. And then shouts to It's Clear Time, who says, "For you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, I just think it's neat." For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye-bye.